Hello everybody, I'm the Charwax Gamer and welcome back to Minecraft. With me is my little brother. We're playing on a survival thing. I am a little off with this week's uploading because last Sunday I meant to upload something, but last Sunday was Mother's Day and I was, well, understandably a little busy. Then Monday came around and I had a D&D game that day and I kind of forgot to upload that day and well, the D&D game didn't really get far and we had to continue on Tuesday. And I forgot to upload for Tuesday, and I was like, oh, okay, you know what? After D&D, I'm just gonna upload a video, and then I did upload a video, but the day after, I wasn't feeling too good, so I didn't upload anything. So now we're here. I'm kind of confused on the timeline now. I don't know if this will be out on Thursday or this will be on Friday. I have the feeling that it's gonna be on Friday because I just looked at the date and it's Thursday. Oh wow. He spawned in at the worst time possible. The other day, I was watching a movie. It was a horror movie. And that made me think of the tropes I hate seeing in horror movies. The one trope I hate, okay, it's got to be a specific horror movie because, you know, there's lots of genres with horror movies. There's like slasher films, paranormal, like horrors, you know, with ghosts and stuff like that. I'm going to start with the one with the ghost stuff. I hated that in every ghost movie I see, there is always one person who denies the existence of the ghost. Every movie I see that has a ghost always has that one guy that says, there's no ghost. The heck was that? Oh, skeleton. Two things happened that made me had to pause the video recording. Number one, I didn't see that skeleton at first, and I got scared because I was talking about ghosts. And number two, if it weren't the skeleton, my dog was scratching at my door because she had to go out. So, the timing was just kind of perfect. But, yes, anyway, typically in a horror movie that involves ghosts, there's always one guy that doesn't believe it. Even if that one guy has seen stuff that just can't logically make sense. Now, don't get me wrong, whenever I do, on the off chance, run into something that seems paranormal, the first thing that I do is not assume it's a ghost. Number one, chances are it's just no, not even a ghost. Number two, there's a thing about giving them power. If you think you're giving them power, then they have more power. So I try to think about it logically so they don't have that much power. I think that's the rules anyway. Point is, oh, please tell me that's okay. Go quickly, please, hurry. Are you kidding me? You know, at least I respawned here. At least we respawned here. We need to sell this off. Don't get me wrong. I like the artistic of it, but it's kind of giving us a whole thing of vulnerability, you know? But like I was saying, rule of thumb when dealing with the paranormal. Oops. I keep hitting you. I'm at least gonna say sorry. Point is, yeah, you don't give them power because the more power you give them, the more stronger they are. It's a mind over matter kind of dealy. I think that's how it goes anyway. If I can't rationalize the thing that's going on, if I can't come up with a logical reason behind it, then I go to somebody else and see if they see the same thing that I'm seeing. Because chances are, worst case scenarios, it's just in my head. Or, well, I guess that wouldn't be the worst case scenario. The best case scenario would, it's just in my head. Like, for example, I could be just tired. I could just be having, like, a sleep deprived issues. Because that has happened before. Which, Hey! Get me out of it, Carlos. Don't you bear it. Stop burying me! He's picking on me. I feel like I'm being picked on. Ah! I can't see, and I hate that I can't see. Hey! I know you can't see the look on my face, Carlos, but I'm giving you the biggest deadpan stare that I give. Are you burying me for real? Stop. You think this is cute? It's not that cute. I will get out of this, I swear. And then I will plot my revenge. Freedom! I forgot the point I was making because I got distracted. Are you happy for that? Are you happy for that, Carlos? You distract. You know, it doesn't take a lot to distract me. It's not a big deal. Something about Ghost. Something about me not giving, like, yeah, just like if I'm having an issue, I think I found what I was talking about. If I suspect, oh, go away. If I suspect that there's, witness me rage. I was angry. Again, I'm trying to get back to my point. So, if I think I see something that's quote-unquote paranormal, I like to get somebody else's second opinion on it, because if I'm seeing it, chances are I'm just sleep deprived, which in high school, I was very sleep deprived to the point where every time that I would chill in my bed, I'll be messing with my laptop. I would have out of the corner of my, or in my peripheral vision, it would look like my door slowly opens. And a shadow, like a shadow figure, would slowly enter my room. But every time I look up, doors close, no shadow figure. Now, you have to understand, this scared me quite a bit. And another rule of thumb is that you never give any entity a name. I believe that's another rule, because you give them a name, that's like giving them permission to stick around. Something like that. It's also giving them power in some sense. I don't know the exact rules. I just know that you don't do these sorts of things because it will make your life worse than it is, especially if you're dealing with a ghost. So, yeah, I didn't give it a name, and I want to say that now because usually when something makes me nervous or something scares me, I typically give it a normal sounding name so that I'm not too afraid of it. For example, every now and then I would have a spider pop into my room, live in the corner of my room for a while. It's a daddy long leg spider, so my arachnophobia is not exactly hitting just right with it. Like, out of all the spiders, I think I'm cool with the daddy long legs because they don't bite, or they're unable to bite. But that's because they have small fangs that they can't normally bite. At least that's what I heard. I mean, the only time that they could get their venom is if you already have an existing wound, and then I heard that their venom's pretty freaking powerful, and I slowly don't like them anymore because on the off chance I have a wound, and on the off chance it crawls on me and gets venom into my bloodstream, I'm good as gone. But as you can see, my arachnophobia is just popping up by talking about. But point is, usually there's a spider that pops in my room. I call him Frank. Because how can you be afraid of a spider named Frank? Frank doesn't even sound that scary of a name. I don't think you ever find a horror movie villain with the name Frank. And no, Frankenstein does not count. Frankenstein was not the monster. Well, then Frankenstein was the doctor. The monster's actually pre-existent because he got brought into this. Point is, I don't know any enemies from any horror movies with the name Frank. So Frank sounds like a decent name, especially for a spider. So that fear I try to humanize. Ghost? Nah. Anyway, I figured that it was just me being sleep deprived because this was before I got hit by the car. And I told the story quite a number of times, and my little brother likes hearing the story because I got hit by a car that's A very memorable story for me. Just to sum it up, I was going to school, cross the crosswalk. I was crossing the crosswalk, got hit by a car. It wasn't going fast. It was going like maybe 5 miles per hour. So it didn't flatten me like a pancake, but it did knock me over. I did hit my head on the windshield. Point is, after I got hit, I didn't have to worry about my insomnia much because I was out like a candle when I got home and after I got patched up. Like, the adrenaline finally went out. I went to sleep, and I kept sleeping throughout the whole week because I was not allowed to go anywhere or do anything under doctor orders. And a little after that, the shadow figure that usually opens my room was gone. So yeah, it was me being sleep deprived. Now granted, has many things happened that are counted as paranormal? No, not at all. I think the only time things count as it being paranormal is when you actively look for it, when you actively mess with it, which is why I am never gonna mess with a Ouija board. Which is also a movie. I hated the movie. Here's why I hated the movie. It wasn't a bad movie. It was a good movie. I just hated the characters. They had 3 rules in the stupid movie. 3 rules, and they kept breaking them over and over. Now, I'm going to give them a pass on rule number 2. Rule number 2, they couldn't have known. Rule number 2 is you never play on a grave, or you never play in a cemetery. Something like that. You never play there. They didn't know their house was built on a cemetery or on someone's grave, so I'm giving them a pass on that. But for the other 2 rules, I'm sorry, no. You heard the rules, you kept forgetting them, and that's what kept getting you killed. That's why everyone in the friend group got, killed, was because you forget the rules. Look, they're simple rules. They're so simple that a caveman could do it. That's why I'm so annoyed with this. It's because you didn't have to follow hard steps to play by the rules. Rule number 1, never play alone. Never play alone. That should be a simple no-brainer. What's the sister do in the first 10 minutes? Oh, she plays alone. What happens to her? Spoiler alert, she doesn't make it. If there was a sequel, she's not making it to the sequel. I don't know if there is a sequel, but I really hope there's not, because typically sequels don't do as well as the first one. And the first one, I'm not saying was completely bad, but the forgetting a rules really ticked me off. And then the last rule. You always say goodbye. And what did these people do? They never said goodbye when they were done playing the game. Now, I might give them a little leeway on that. I might, because, it's a hectic situation. Saying goodbye is a very simple thing to do. Like, for example, when I say thank you to somebody, I might have to second guess myself and say, did I say thank you? So for that ruling, I'm just going to say, I get it. It's a simple thing. You forget to say goodbye. It's like, I get you. I don't like that you keep forgetting, because that's kind of a life or death rule there. Especially after, a couple of your friends already got done in by the stupid Ouija board because somebody forgot to say goodbye. Or somebody wanted to, play by themselves again. And, don't quote me if that's what happened in the movie. It's been a while since I seen it. I just remember that they kept constantly breaking the rules, and that kept on ticking me off. It's like, you're in a horror movie. Can you follow the rules? Okay. In that scenario, if somebody told me, oh, with this Ouija board, you got to play with people, never play on an open grave or something like that, something similar. It might be cemetery, I don't remember exactly. Or, when you're done playing, say goodbye. If someone told me that, I don't care if it sounds ridiculous. I don't care if I don't fully believe in the paranormal stuff, or if I think it's just, some, lies, some imagination going on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow the rules because I know for a fact that I am not gonna test that theory out. I am not testing out the theory whether a Ouija board actually connects me to, any paranormal hijinks because I am not gonna risk that. It kind of makes me wonder, how is this even a game when you're actively poking the dead? The game marketed by Hasbro. Why play with pound puppies when you could play with the undead? Fun fact, I even looked up the product. Ages 8 and up. You have to be 8 years old to talk to the dead, kids. Have fun. No, leave me alone. I was told talking to the living was fun. It ain't. Talking to the dead ain't gonna be fun either, especially if they start haunting you. The only time I could really think that I had a real haunting at my place is one day my mom came home from work. She worked at a convalescent hospital. And on her way back, she had this gut feeling, and that's never a good sign, especially if it's coming from behind your car. So she looks behind, and in the back seat of a car, she saw a shadow float down. Now, I'm going to point out some logic here because that's what I do when I ever hear, quote unquote paranormal activity. Is that, look, it was late, it was nighttime, it was dark. Chances are she probably got a weird feeling because it was, dark. She was going home. She had a tired, work day. For all I know is that a light could have just bounced off and, make a shadow move weirdly. That's what could happen. That's logically what could happen. But after that, a lot of weird things started also sort of happening around the house. Some things that I couldn't really explain. So, yeah. I mean, I could explain maybe one incident, but not the rest of the incidents. Incident number one was when I was leaving my room. Now, I looked down and I saw this black cat just beeline it away from my room. I have cats. That should be easily explainable. The thing is, this cat was completely black. I don't have a completely black cat. And, there's another explanation for that, actually. There is, it was dark. I think we had a power out. So, obviously, if one of my cats was there, it could have simply been one of my cats. However, when I thought about that, I felt a little comfortable until I started putting a couple of things together. Namely, number one, yeah, this cat was completely black. None of my cats are completely black. Look, even in darkness, I would still see the white of my cat's fur. The only cat at the time that could fit that description would have been Cali Cat, which is a dark kitty. However, she don't like being in my room. She doesn't hang in my room. She still, to this day, doesn't hang in my room. It couldn't have been her. The other cat could have been my cat Sassy, but like I said, if it were him, I would have noticed the white of his fur, or at least it wouldn't have looked, that shadowy, if that makes sense. It wouldn't have looked that dark of a silhouette, and it was pretty small compared to my cat, so it's a little weird. And for the third one, Miss Kitty, Miss Kitty, look, it could be pitch black, and I would know if it were Miss Kitty running past my legs. You want to know how I would know? Because she was fat. She was a fat cat. This cat that ran by was skinny. So, that's a 50-50 on the logic. It could have been a trick of the light. Lack of light. But it's I don't know if that's the case because it couldn't have been Sassy. It could have potentially been the Callie, but the fact that she was around my room to begin with was weird for me to question it. That was incident number one. I feel like that's more explainable than anything. Incident number two. There is a potential explanation for incident number two now that I think about it, but I rather not think about the realistic. Look, the realistic alternative would have been more sadder, and I personally would prefer a ghost over the alternative realistic answer because incident number two, my grandma, she thought I called her from the kitchen when I A, never called her, and B, was in my room. It got to the point where she got up, opened my door, because she got up, went to the kitchen, came back, and opened my door, and she asked me, why was I calling her? And I said, I never called you. I was in my room just relaxing. Now, the reason why I said that this is explainable, but I really hate the logical side of things is because, look, if that weren't a ghost imitating me, that's a good chance that my grandma was going through dementia. And I prefer dealing with ghosts other than that. I mean, that was at the time. She's no longer with us now. But at the time, that's what scared me. I think I prefer a ghost over than actual go through that because I don't think I've been mentally prepared to actively go through that. So that was incident number two. Incident number three, again, has the same issue with it being my grandma. This time, I was in the kitchen doing dishes when I heard her calling for me. I go into her room and I ask her, what's wrong? And she says, how'd you get all the way over there? It's like, I'm sorry, what? I saw you. You looked at me. You were holding some sort of light. And then you entered your mom's room. Red flag. Red flag. Number one, I was far away from my mom's room. Well, another red flag. You said you saw me walk in there. Open the door. Close the door. Walk in there. Look, I don't care if I've been having a nice day, chilling out, not even going through horror movie stuff. If I'm just having a pleasant day, that would scare the living daylights out of me because, again, answer for number two is it could be dementia, and I don't want to think about that. But on the off chance that it isn't, that means she saw something that looked just like me enter a room. So, my solution to this was not the best. You know what? This is going into the horror movie tropes where you're stupid for doing this. And if I were watching me do this, I would be yelling at myself for doing the one thing you don't do. And that's investigate. You don't investigate the weird thing, but I was going to go investigate because I figured that, okay, it's mimicking me. I could beat myself up. I'm not that strong. It mimicked the worst person to mimic in the entire house. I could literally beat me up. So, this is what I do. I don't get a flashlight because I couldn't find a flashlight. And no, it's not because that thing took it. It's just because we don't really have much flashlights. We use candles. And this was not a candle situation. Candle situations for power outs. So, I have this nail hammer thing, this tiny little crowbar thing that's apparently called a nail hammer, even though that name sounds kind of no duh, you hammer nails with hammers. Why would you specifically call it a nail hammer? That's what they normally do. Point is, I go into her room, I'm holding it up. Unfortunately, her light switch don't work, and if you're wondering if that's a horror movie thing that I'm doing again, no, her light switch just typically doesn't work. That's been a thing forever. So I had to go in the middle of the room. We're not going to have enough time to finish it, are we? Well, I'll continue this story in the next episode, so thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Take care, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.